Hey you guys, before we get started, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe. You can honestly unsubscribe from me later, but that will help this video get more traction and get in front of more people. So I would super appreciate that. So last night, me and my wife sit down to play a board game and we choose Marvel Dice Throne. If you know Dice Throne, then you will know that it's a crazy battle Yahtzee head-to-head game where you're just trying to reduce your opponent's life to 0. I let her choose her character first, and she said she either wanted to be Black Widow or Spider-Man. So I let her choose. She chose Black Widow, and then I took the other one, which was Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I had never played either of these characters before, so it was a bit of a learning journey, which we're going to go through right after this. But first, in case you already know how to play, I want to tell you about what happened in the game so that you can just skip the how to play and you can just hear our crazy experience. So what we have is Black Widow. If you know her, she does little damage on the defense. So she has her electric batons. Every time I would hit, she would usually hit 2 or 3 damage back. And then it would turn over to her turn and she would get a full turn coming at me. It was so hard to keep up on the defense and the life. And a lot of her damage is undefendable in the form of time bombs or just undefendable damage. So Miles Morales had a hard time keeping his life total up. We get down. I have 2 life. She has 12. I think the game's over, but Miles Morales has one of his attacks, not even a very good one. Yeah, so Miles Morales' Spider Senses attack lets you roll 2 dice and you deal damage equal to the combined value. So, just to reiterate, she has 12 life, I have 2. It is very likely that any attack I make that is defendable, she will kill me on because she gets to roll 3 dice and deal damage back to me. So what I do is the only thing that I could do was Spider Senses, last ditch effort. I decided to do that. I rolled 2 6s. So I'm dealing 12 damage back at her. Now, Black Widow has agility. She has 2 agility. That means for each agility token that she has, she can roll a dice. If she gets a 1 through a 3, she gets rid of half of the damage. So she's thinking absolutely she's survived. She rolls 2 dice, a 6 and a 4. Neither of them negate any of the damage. So I still have all that damage coming at her, and she has the 3 that she rolls, and surely enough, she does 2 damage back to me. But okay, wait, I totally had to come back and record this because there was a piece of this I forgot. So I have 12 damage coming at her. She rolls for defense. She rolls 3 dice for her defense, and none of it defends. She just has to defend 1 point of damage, which that symbol occurs on every single one of her dice twice. That is a 1 in 3 chance for each of her dice that she can defend just a single point of damage. Not only that, but one of Black Widow's upgrades lets her re-roll any number of her defense dice once. Every defense. She has 2 chances, rolling 3 dice, that's 6 dice effectively, to get just 1 defense. So she rolls her 3 dice. What happens is she gets 2 damage coming back at me. Well, no, she gets 3 electric batons coming back at me for 3 damage. Now, she takes 1 of the dice just to try and get a defense. What that would do is it would defend to live 1 last round and kill me effectively, because even if she defends enough to just survive, if she doesn't kill me, she has a time bomb that I had thrown back at her that is likely to explode the beginning of her next turn. So she keeps 2 of her electric batons trying to roll 1 of her green markers, I can't remember what it's called, just to defend 1 of the damage and to kill me on the retaliation, and completely whiffs a second time. The number of things that had to line up for this situation to occur. I rolled double 6s to deal 12 damage. She tried to evade just half of that damage twice, missed both times on that, which was a 50-50 shot. So then she rolls for defense. All she had to do was defend 1 to survive. It's insane. Like, seriously, this game just really was just way too much. It was so funny. Anyway, back to the original recording. We killed each other in one epic explosion. So I did 12 damage to her. She pinged me back for 2. We both died, and it was a draw, which normally would be so frustrating, but me as the underdog who was in a last-ditch effort trying to save myself, I was able to pull through and at least end it in a draw. I was thrilled. My wife was not happy, but it was so completely epic. So if you want to learn more about Marvel Dice Throne, stick around. We're going to do a quick how to play video. I don't go into too much depth because I'll be honest, when you pull out this game and when you play it, you're going to have to read through the character. Each character has unique status effects, plays in a wildly different way, and you're just going to have to explore that on your own. I can't teach that all to you now. It would be a waste of both of our times. So I'm going to give you an overview, teach you how to play Miles Morales Spider-Man so that you can kind of see how it goes. And then you can go ahead and have your own Marvel Dice Throne journey. And just to be clear, Marvel Dice Throne is compatible with all of the other Dice Throne universe, including Adventures, the Treant, the Ninja, all of them. The Monk, you can play against them all together, which is so beautiful, and I can't wait to see if Marvel Dice Throne comes out with more characters or even more IPs. So what we have the base game, and then we have 2 expansions. The expansions are standalone, so you can just play Doctor Strange against Black Widow, but obviously it's pretty epic to have the base game that has 4 different characters that you can play as, mix and match. We have Spider-Man, Loki, Thor, and Scarlet Witch. So excellent game. I'll be honest, I had written off Dice Throne as something that I didn't super care about. I don't love head-to-head battling games. There are a lot of things that I just don't love. Dice hate me, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the different characters, I don't know if it's the IP, playing Marvel Dice Throne got me super back into it, and I'm excited to play through all the characters. So that's Marvel Dice Throne. Stick around for the how to play video right after this if you want to. If not, go ahead and end. There's nothing. Go ahead and close this. There's nothing at the end of this. So we're just going to do the how to play, and then we're going to play. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us as content creators make more content, helps us get seen by the algorithms and stuff like that. So if there's anything about this that you liked, please hit that like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. One other thing that you can do on your first main phase is you can sell cards. So it may come to the point where some of your cards just aren't useful to you, or you're desperate to get more combat points so that you can play a card that you think can win you the game. You are able to sell them, which means put them in your discard pile. You'll never see them again. And you get 1 combat point for every card that you sell that way. One thing that I always forget to note is that you always have the option of a small straight and a large straight, and that's the same for every character, not the abilities, but the fact that there's always a small straight and a large straight. That is referencing the numbers on your dice. So for example, I here have 2, 3, 4, 5, so there's my small straight. It also qualifies for my web crawler ability that will deal 7 damage and gain invisibility. So keep in mind that you should remember to check the numbers on your dice, not just the abilities and the symbols on your dice. All right, let's get started looking into how to play some of these. Just so you're aware, this is the base game. It has 4 characters. You can see Scarlet Witch, Thor, Loki, and Spider-Man. These 2 are also standalone games. You just only have the 2 characters to play 1v1 against. Okay, so each character is going to have a few common components. So here is your hero board. This is what you're going to use as a main reference to hold status effects, as well as reference the different abilities that you can do. One thing you'll want to do when you first get your character is take out the character leaflet. This side doesn't have like that much, it's more clarifications. This is the side that you're generally going to want to look at more. Shows you the distribution of icons on your dice, as well as the different status effects that you'll be utilizing. This is your combat point tracker. Go ahead and set it to 2 to start the game. And then you have your health. Each hero starts at 50 health. And then you also will have your hero deck. All of these cards in most cases are just shuffled together. You'll want to look at your character specifically and see if there are any special setup options. So let's go ahead and get Spider-Man set up. We can look at kind of what a setup looks like. Go ahead, place your hero board front and center. Go ahead and shuffle your hero deck. Each player is going to start with 4 cards from their hero deck. You'll definitely want to have your dice handy, and then your hero's related status effect tokens. There's also a card in each hero's deck that has your turn order as well as timing for different phases of the game. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail, but for now, let's look at the turn order. So the first thing we'll do is the upkeep phase. A good example of something that occurs on the upkeep phase is Black Widow's Time Bomb. If I have a Time Bomb, I need to roll a die. If it's not a 6, it ticks down. And then next time I'll have one more chance to defend against it. It didn't work, so it's gonna explode and deal 4 damage to me. Right after the upkeep phase is your income phase. So at the beginning of income phase, you're going to gain 1 CP, and you're also going to draw an additional card. Now, if you're the first player in a 1v1 game, you're not going to get any combat points and you're not going to draw a card. Because you get to go first, the second player is going to have the benefit of getting the combat point and the extra card draw. Let's go ahead and look at some of the cards that we might have in our possession. Combat points are your primary source of currency. It's how you play different cards from your hand. So the anatomy of a card really quick. On the side here, it has the cost. So 1 combat point, 1 combat point. This is 2 combat points, and this is 1 combat point. So since I start out with 2, my options are going to be fairly limited. Beneath the cost, you have the turn phase that it can be played on. So you can see this little orange die underneath, or the little blue M. So if you look on here, we can see that I can play the ones with the little blue M is during your main phase. I get one at the beginning of my turn, and I'll get another one after I go through my attack phase. The one with the little orange die relates to these 3, the offensive roll phase, the targeting roll phase, and the defensive roll phase. Because we're playing a one-on-one game, the targeting roll phase is not going to be applicable because you'll always be targeting your opponent in a 1v1 game. The other special type of card is this. It has a little arrow above the cost, a little arrow with an up, and you'll always notice that these are called something with a number 2 after. These are upgrades. So those, when played, will be placed on top of an existing ability. So this in the combo, you'll go ahead and place the combo 2 once you play it on top of there. Don't forget to pay its combat point cost. So once I've decided if I want to do something during my main phase, then we'll move on to the offensive roll phase. Because it's my turn and this is the meat of the game, this is the battle Yahtzee portion. So I've chosen to spend none of these or to use none of them, and I'm going to save up my combat points. I can go ahead and move on to my offensive roll phase. So I have up to 3 rolls, and I can lock any and then re-roll. So for example, I could roll these. I got 3 of the thwips. And you'll also notice that they have numbers on them as well. Those aren't randomized. The red ones for Spider-Man are always 6s. The white ones are always 5s. The blue ones are always 1s and 2s. I can choose which ones I want to keep. You'll want to familiarize yourself with your different abilities. So for example, for the combo, I need 2 thwips and I need 2 of the Spider-Man symbols. And the effect is I would deal 5 damage and I would gain a combo. So if you want to know more about combos, reference your little player leaflet and it'll tell you more about it. In this case, let's look at status effects are generally what's listed here. So combo, for example, it's a positive status effect, which means I'll want it on myself. Its stack limit is 1, which means I can only have 1 at a time. And it says perform another offensive roll phase. So if your offensive roll phase resulted in an attack, you may spend this token at the conclusion of your opponent's defensive roll phase. If spent, you immediately target the same opponent with an additional offensive roll phase. Can only spend once per turn. So right now I have 3 thwips, which over here I could punch. It deals 4 damage, and then it basically goes up for each additional thwip that I get. Because I still have rolls to do, I'm going to go for my combo because it sounds really nice to have that combo status effect. One of the big icons, you could call this your Yahtzee down here. Every hero has an ultimate attack down here, and it's always all 6s. Difficult to get, but your cards can help you in a lot of that. So for mine, the Venom Shockwave, if I get all spiders, then I gain invisibility. I inflict webbed, which means they can't defend against my next attack. And then I deal 13 damage. And I believe ultimate damage is always undefendable, so they don't get to roll their defense. So I'm gonna do my other 2 rolls. Oh, shoot, I wanted to keep my other spider, darn it. Actually, I just got spider reflexes with that one, so maybe I'll pivot over here to spider reflexes. So it says I can roll 2 dice and deal damage equal to the total roll value. Could be great, it could be bad. If the final roll value is 5 or less, I gain a combo. So it's kind of great. If I roll 2 6s, I deal 12 damage, which would be awesome. If I don't roll very high, then I get a combo that I can spend on a later turn. So that sounds pretty great. So I'll stop there, forfeit my last roll, and I'm going to roll my 2 dice to see what kind of damage I do. So I rolled 6, just above that 5 threshold. So I would say, all right, I'm dealing 6 damage. Now, because it's a normal attack, not an ultimate, my lovely assistant over here, my wife, she can roll for defense. So let's take a look at Black Widow's board. So Black Widow has 1 way of defending. Spider-Man, you can see, has 2. So hers is sabotage. For her defense roll, she gets to roll 3 of her dice. If they are her electric batons, she deals 1 damage multiplied by the number of electric batons she has. If it is, what is that one? The little green eye, she prevents 1 damage per green eye that she has. If she rolls 2 of her hourglass, which is her 6, espionage. So that green eye is espionage. If she rolls 2 of the hourglass symbol, then she inflicts time bomb, which is a negative status effect that she can put on me. Oh, it's called a widow symbol. And if you have at least 4 ability upgrades in play, you can re-roll any of these dice. So ability upgrades would be on these. So Black Widow definitely gets paid off for having the upgrades. If she has 4 of them, then she can re-roll any of these dice up to 1 time. So let's say I'm coming at you with 6 damage. Let's have Black Widow roll 3 dice to see what the effect would be. All right, so she got 2 espionage and 1 widow symbol. So she would prevent 2 of that damage, 1 times the number of them. So I would end up hitting 4 damage to Black Widow. So she would reduce her life total. And then phase-wise, we would move on to the next phase. Keep in mind that during this time, there are cards that could have been played. So for example, I have try again. You or a chosen teammate may re-roll up to 2 dice. There's also the swing escape. Your spider sense defensive ability succeeds on webs instead of spider symbols. So that would be spider sense would reference this one. So that's the basic of a turn overview. So that is Marvel Dice Throne. Other Dice Throne games play almost exactly the same. Every hero is unique, and this is fully compatible with other Dice Throne products, so you can play Spider-Man against the Ninja or the Treant or any of those characters that you may already have in your Dice Throne collection. Honestly, it's been awesome for me. I didn't love Dice Throne when I first played it, but somehow Marvel version has got me a lot more into it. So I may be looking to give the other ones a try or another try in the near future.